love that song. Wow, fly like an eagle. Tell you what, there's a lot of great places around town here to do that model airplane stuff, but there's just not a lot of land to find a new spot.
With property value as high as it is,
Exactly.
a little runway.
Yeah, that's why I do see those drones all the time, you know, in the neighborhood and everything. So.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously we have picturesque places to fly like an eagle. So let's send it over to Evan Narani. Is it going to be another warm one?
Oh yeah, very warm, warmer than yesterday. That song reminded me of the Torrey Pines glider port. Where, you know, we always get photos that people send in that they'll take from being out there in the sky.
Absolutely.
And they're beautiful. So another great day to fly like an eagle out there. Temperatures are warming up to the upper 70s and even the 80s this afternoon. It'll be nice and toasty out there. Take a look at what we have as far as your conditions right now. Mainly 50s and 60s as we kick off your morning. Partial cloud cover in some spots, warming up to the upper 70s for your coastline. Again, in just a few minutes, we'll walk through those afternoon highs that are going to be in the 80s in some spots. Traffic, nothing really to mention this morning. Very calm out there on the roads. No crashes or collisions to note. Just some slightly slower speeds over the Coronado Bridge. Back to you.
Well, today we expect a big update on a sanitation strike that's been going on for nearly a month.
The Chula Vista City Council expected to address this during its meeting today. News 8's Chris Crow joining us live in Chula Vista with how the city's mayor is trying to get trash service back up and running. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Yes, trying to get the trash service up and running while also still trying to support those who are out on strike. Remember, the Republic Services, they're getting in out-of-state workers to try to get the job done here, which actually runs counter to supporting those who are on strike. But again, Mayor Salas says that the #1 goal right now is to get both sides together and to end this dispute.
Our contract with Republic, the city and Republic goes through the end of 2024. So we're locked into that contract, and there's very little that we can do except to hold them accountable to pick up the trash. They do have to pick up the trash.
Yeah, and that's why those out-of-state workers or those strike breakers are actually there working. Now, both sides, Republic Services and the striking workers, plan to attend today's meeting. Mayor Salas plans to ask the city, though, to consider a number of options to prevent this from happening in the future. That includes the city providing its own trash services or adding more protections for workers and the city before signing the next contract. Now, Republic Services, they have released a statement. They haven't necessarily commented directly on how negotiations are going, but more so on the broad scope of how this is impacting services, so to speak. And they said in part, quote, in picking up residential trash, recycling, and green waste carts this week in Chula Vista and in unincorporated San Diego County, with the help of our Blue Crew relief employees, we continue to coordinate with our municipal partners as we work toward a long-term solution, and we thank customers for their understanding. But workers on the picket line believe Republic Services need to meet their demands to really clean this mess up, to get them back into their trucks and back to work.
I also heard that everything was supposed to be picked up today, and it's not happening. The only way that the city of Chula Vista is going to get cleaned up is for us to go back to work. Not the Blue Crew, us, the drivers right here that's picketing.
And what do those picketing workers want? Well, they want that same financial offer that was made to workers in LA and in Orange County, all employed by Republic Services, a $2 raise, plus some of the safety enhancements for the trucks that they drive around all around the county and Chula Vista as well, too. Eric and Netta.
All right, Chris, thank you. This morning, we expect to learn more about the Biden administration's response to COVID and the rise in Omicron cases. Dr. Anthony Fauci and CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky will testify before a Senate committee on the variant today. This comes as a record 142,000 Americans were hospitalized with COVID on Sunday. COVID cases are also skyrocketing in San Diego. County health officials reported nearly 50,000 new cases from over the weekend. More than 19,000 reported Friday, 17,000 Saturday, followed by more than 12,000 on Sunday. Local hospitalizations are at nearly 1,000, with 168 patients in intensive care. But both numbers are lower than this time last year. No new deaths were reported.
4 more COVID testing sites will be open this morning with the help of the National Guard, and that includes one in Chula Vista, National City, Escondido, and Oceanside. Look at your screen right there if you need to get a test. Right now, 200 California National Guard members are helping sites across the state, and their goal is to help move these long lines that we've seen at many sites across our county. We do have a list of all the testing locations in San Diego. Just go to cbs8.com. You'll see the help button, and you'll see that link. And this morning, the CDC says COVID cases in children now at their highest since the start of the pandemic. At Rady Children's Hospital, the number of kids being admitted with COVID tripled in the last week.
But those numbers don't tell the whole story. And News 8's Dana Marie McNichol is live with a closer look for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. I mean, that's exactly right. A doctor at the Rady Children's Hospital says that, yes, there are a high number of COVID patients currently right now, but they weren't admitted with COVID. That's not the reason they were admitted. They find out after routine testing that they have COVID. Now, the doctors are saying that it is important for kids to get vaccinated that are eligible not only to prevent community spread, but there's a new inflammatory disease called MIS-C that's popping up in kids 4 weeks after their quarantine time of COVID. So here's what Dr. John Bradley with Rady Children's Hospital has to say about this.
Fatigue, myalgias, these kids feel horrible. Occasionally the hearts are also infected, and there's no virus there anymore. This is all of these kids are antibody positive. They're immune, but the body thinks that the virus is still there. And a publication from the Centers for Disease Control that just came out Friday says that if kids are vaccinated, it prevents MIS-C as well as preventing active infection in children.
Now, Dr. Bradley says MIS-C usually shows up about 4 weeks post-COVID, so he expects a wave of those MIS-C patients at the end of this month following the recent surge in pediatric patients. Now, at Rady Children's Hospital, the number of kids being admitted with COVID just tripled in the last week. 20 kids in the COVID unit, 2 in the ICU currently. Now, doctors say, fortunately, there have been no child-related COVID deaths here, and most of the kids who do have COVID are seeing really mild symptoms. Dr. John Bradley does say many of the children testing positive are coming in for something else, but per protocol, they are getting tested for COVID, and that's when they discover they have COVID as well. So just a good reminder, a little bit of information behind those numbers we're seeing coming out of Rady Children's Hospital, but a reminder for parents, hey, take a look at your kid 4 weeks post. Don't think that just because they're away from the COVID, that 10-day period, that they could not experience other symptoms, and the precautions and the repercussions of COVID are still very real, and doctors are just saying to look out for that. I'm Dana Marie McNichol. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
And students in Sweetwater and Chula Vista school districts, they are heading back to class today. The districts are urging parents to test their kids before they head back. Students should have already gotten their first test over the weekend and should take their second this morning. If your child tests positive, has flu-like symptoms, or had close contact with someone with COVID, the district says to keep them home.
Governor Gavin Newsom is pledging nearly $3 billion to help fight the pandemic. It's one of the top priorities in his $286 billion budget proposal. Other priorities include homelessness, climate change, and battling wildfires. The governor's budget also calls for a pause on the automatic gas tax hike scheduled to kick in this summer. Among the most sweeping changes in this proposed budget would be universal health coverage. It would expand eligibility regardless of age or immigration status and would provide Medi-Cal access to all low-income residents. Coverage would be extended to an additional 700,000 Californians. That's who would qualify, provided they meet the income criteria. So, for example, a family of 4 would have to make less than $36,570 a year to qualify. The state legislature has until June 15th to pass the budget.
Take a look outside here. Boy, that warm breeze was felt around the county.
Oh, yes. And spots where we continue to see that warm breeze, that warm, dry Santa Ana wind air moving in are spots that are warmer to kick off the day. So we really have overnight lows in some spots in the upper 50s, really. Some spots even around 60 degrees. I mean, look at Ramona right now. They're at 63 degrees. Ramona was the same spot that was in the upper 20s to start last week. So significant changes that a week can make. But as you look off toward the coastline, we're mainly in the upper 50s right now. Still above average. Average would be about about mid to lower 50s. So we're at 59 in Oceanside right now, 59 in Carlsbad. Afternoon high temperature is going to be warming up very, very nicely to the 70s and 80s. And really, even as we start off the day, these temperatures are, in some cases, double-digit changes from yesterday. Ramona is 11 degrees warmer compared to this time yesterday. Julian, 10 degrees warmer. Borrego Springs, 9 degrees warmer. And Chula Vista, 10 degrees warmer as well. So it is a nice warmer start to the day. And by the afternoon, we'll be trending about 10 to 15 degrees above average. Why? Well, we've got a ridge of high pressure overhead that's keeping our weather pretty stagnant right now. We're not seeing any major cloud development or chance of rainfall until we get to about Friday to Sunday, which we'll mention in a second. But those Santa Ana winds are largely to blame for our overnight low temperatures that are above average, as well as these afternoon high temperatures that are going to be trending above average, because that is sending that warm, dry air in our direction from the east toward the west, as opposed to the sea breeze that we get that is more humid air and typically cooler as well. 36 mile-per-hour gusts, 46 down in Alpine, 28 at Mount Laguna. So it is breezy out there. And then as we go through the rest of the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, we stay dry. Thursday, we usher in some clouds. And then Friday through the weekend, we start to see a little bit of green pop up on the screen. We'll run into more detail as to what we're talking about with this next possible precipitation event in just a bit.